Hello everyone, and welcome to Playstationage's very first video. Today I'm going to start talking about a game series that has been very close to my heart since I first started playing video games. Back in 1996, a little-known company named Naughty Dog, the same people who released games like Keef the Thief, Rings of Power, and Way of the Warrior, games none of us have ever even heard of, they released a game that was so awesome it actually became the mascot for the system it was released on. And that game was none other than Crash Bandicoot. The game's story is pretty light. You can actually access it just by waiting at the main menu for about 10 seconds. Basically, Dr. Brio and Dr. Cortex have captured a Bandicoot named Crash, and are planning on controlling his mind so he can be used to command Cortex's army of animals, I think. Seems legit. Anyways, Crash escapes and now he has to return to the lab to save his girlfriend. And much like the beginning of Inception, Crash washes up on the shore of a random beach. And with that in mind, let's get started. I can't move, but... Oh, I had the wrong controller there. Sorry about that. Let me get the right one. One thing I did forget to mention. This is one of those games that was made before they had the analog controllers, so before you try to play this game, make sure you have your analog turned off. Or if you have a PlayStation 3, make sure that you've got your controller settings set to digital. Once you do that, you can actually start playing. There we go. Crash Bandicoot's core gameplay is simple and sweet, like an old platformer should be. You run, you jump, and you hit enemies with a spin attack. Pretty simple. You also collect a Wampa fruit in the game. Get 100, get an extra life. One of my most favorite features though are the AQ masks. Each mask acts as another hit point. Collect 3 masks and you have a few seconds of invincibility. There isn't much variation in styles of gameplay. The only levels that give you a break from the platforming are a couple of levels where you get to ride a warthog. They're tough and your control is limited, but that doesn't mean they're not fun. Yeah, look at you little devious Bandicoot. I see what you're doing there. In every level, you have the option of getting a gem, which you can obtain by breaking every box in said level, without dying. Pretty early on, you'll learn that you'll have to revisit some levels because they have sections you can't access without getting gems from other levels. If you're lucky enough to get every gem in the game, however, you can unlock an alternate ending that really doesn't make any sense and isn't really worth obtaining. The game also provides a decent diversity of level designs and areas. You visit jungles, old fortresses, dark temples, waste plants, and even mountaintop bridges. As for the platforming itself, you get an alright variety. Most levels just go straight forward on a very linear path. 3D games had just started getting popular, so everyone was ready to just walk forward and brag about the fact that the 3D world includes depth. Some of these levels actually do go left, right, and up though, like the fortress levels and even the lab levels. There are actually some runaway levels, where you're being chased from behind and you have about a split second to see what's in front of you, and you can't stop moving. If you do, these boulders will crush you flatter than the state of Kansas. These levels used to freak me out as a kid. The music is light but eerie, and these boulders are relentless. Like any good platformer, the game features a handful of boss battles. Most of them are pretty easy to pick up once you get the hang of their patterns. There are no hints on how to beat them, however, so figuring out these patterns is up to you. As enjoyable as this game is, it isn't without its problems. Like I stated before, you can't use the analog stick, so levels where you're running away from the camera or towards it can get a little tough, especially when you're trying to land a very precise jump. Speaking of the controls, they are a little sloppy. They certainly aren't broken or awkward by any means, but they are a little slick. It makes some of the harder levels tougher than they really need to be. My other big complaint is the save function. The only way to save the game, or get a password, is to go to one of the game's bonus levels, which you do by getting 3 of these floating papers with your girlfriend's head on them. The easiest way to save, though, is to just go back to the second level and collect them there. It's the shortest level that has saving.
Darn you, Crash Bandicoot!
If you manage to make it to the end of the game, you have a confrontation with the infamous Dr. Cortex. The fight isn't as epic as I would have liked, but it certainly isn't as easy as I would have liked either. You have to reflect these little green energy balls that he shoots at you. You know, I've always found it funny when a game boss keeps hitting you with something that you keep reflecting back at him and causing damage. Anyways, as he loses HP, more green balls are required to take out a life point. Once you beat him though, Crash and his girlfriend ride off into the sunset, with no way off the blimp. Of course, they don't mention that, nor does it tie into the next game in any way. These are my final thoughts. This is a fairly good game. It's actually pretty good for an early 5th generation platforming game, especially for a company as small as Naughty Dog, but it certainly isn't the best in the Crash Bandicoot series. Naughty Dog actually went on to make 3 more Crash Bandicoot games. All things considered, I'd give this game 7 Wampa Fruit out of 10. Thanks for watching, everybody, and if you liked this video, or if you hated it, please comment on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page. I'd like some constructive criticism so I can know how to start making these better in the future. Thank you, have a good day, and always remember, drain your bladder before a big boss battle. It goes a long way.